The Armed Forces of the Philippines. The President of the Philippines is the Commander-in-Chief of the AFP and forms military policy. With the Department of National Defense, an executive department acting as the principal organ by which military policy is carried out, while the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs serves as the overall commander and the highest-ranking officer in the AFP. The Philippine Coast Guard also serves as an attached service of the AFP in wartime. Military service is entirely voluntary. Pre-colonial Philippines maintained local militia groups under the barangay system, reporting to the DITU. These groups, aside from maintaining order in their communities, also served as their defense forces. With the arrival of Islam, the system of defense forces in the Mindanao region's sultanates under Muslim control mirrored those other existing sultanates in the region. These local warriors who were in the service of the Sultan were also responsible to qualified male citizens appointed by him. During the Spanish colonial period, the Spanish army was responsible for the defense and general order of the archipelago in the land, while the Spanish Navy conducts maritime policing in the seas as well as providing naval logistics to the army. The Guardia Civil took police duties and maintaining public order in villages and towns. In the early years of Spanish colonial era, most of the formations of the army were composed of conquistadors backed with native auxiliaries. By the 18th and 19th centuries, line infantry and cavalry formations were created composed of mixed Spanish and Filipino personnel, as well as volunteer battalions composed of all Filipino volunteers during the later half of the 19th century. Units from other colonies were also levied to augment the existing formations in the Philippines. Almost all of the formations of the Spanish army in the archipelago participated in the local religious uprisings between 17th and 19th centuries, and in the Philippine Revolution in 1896 fighting against the revolutionary forces. At the peak of the revolution, some Filipinos and a few Spaniards in the Spanish army, Guardia Civil, and Navy defected to the Philippine Revolutionary Army. The Spanish cession of the Philippines in the 1898 Treaty of Paris put the independence of the newly declared Southeast Asian Republic in grave danger. The revolutionaries were fighting desperately as the American forces already landed in other islands and had taken over towns and villages. The Americans established the Philippine Constabulary in 1901 manned by Filipino fighters and used against Gen. Aguinaldo, who was later captured. On April 9, 2002, Philippine President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo proclaimed that the Philippine-American War had ended. On April 16, 1902, with the surrender of General Miguel Malvar. Since the beginning of American rule in the Philippines, the United States Army had taken the responsibility for the defense of the country in the land, and the United States Navy in the seas until the passage of the National Defense Act of 1935, which called for a separate defense force for the Philippines. In accordance with the National Defense Act of 1935, the Armed Forces of the Philippines was officially established on December 21, 1935. When the act entered into force, retired U.S. General Douglas MacArthur was asked to supervise its foundation and training. MacArthur accepted the offer and became a Field Marshal of the Philippines, a rank no other person has since held. Jean MacArthur, his wife, found the situation amusing and remarked that her husband had gone from holding the highest rank in the United States Army to holding the highest rank in a non-existent army. President Quezon officially conferred the title of Field Marshal on MacArthur in a ceremony at Malacanang Palace on August 24, 1936, when he appeared with a gold marshal's baton and a unique uniform. The Army of the Philippines included naval and air assets directly reporting to Army headquarters, and the Philippine Constabulary, later part of the ground forces proper as a division. In 1938, the Constabulary Division was separated from the Army and reorganized into a national police force. MacArthur expanded the Army of the Philippines with the revival of the Navy in 1940 and the formation of the Philippine Army Air Corps. But they were not ready for combat at the start of the Pacific War in December 1941 and unable to defeat the 1941-42 Japanese invasion of the Philippines. In 1940-41, most soldiers of the Philippine military were incorporated in the U.S. Army Forces Far East. With MacArthur appointed as its commander, USAFFE made its last stand on Corregidor Island. after which Japanese forces were able to force all remaining Filipino and American troops to surrender. The establishment of the General Headquarters of the Philippine Commonwealth Army military station went to the province during occupation. Those who survived the invasion but escaped